All right, today I'm going to work on this issue right here. So we're going to enable the Infracost template file so we can automatically generate our Infracost configuration um, based off that template file. And then we're going to use pre-commit to synchronize usage across all of our Terraform resources. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to put this in progress. I will assign it to me myself. And that looks good. So the doc on the configuration file is pretty good. They've got some good examples of kind of like directory structures and things like that. And then they have some good template file examples as well you can go out and look at. So the driver behind all this is to kind of shift some of the burdens of the developer writing the infrastructure code left, have that work somewhat automated because maintaining usage files can be a little bit time consuming and whatnot. And I know the Infracost team is actually looking into features to streamline this even more, but I do think it's mature enough right now where you can get a good start on these usage files and get stuff in place with minimal overhead. So that's sort of what we're going to look at today. So anyways, docs are here. They've got some good examples on how to do that. We're going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to like code in real time. I'll just pull down my changes. But anyways, all right. So good, issue in progress. So we'll open up my IDE. I'm in this repo now. I'm just going to synchronize. Make sure we're in a good place. I got this. So I'll pull down some changes I already had out there. We'll pull those down and we could take a look at them. Okay. So we can look at some of the changes I have here. So this is the template file. Let me open up my browser. The template file uses the sort of the Go template syntax, and they support specific things. Not everything that Go supports do they support, but anyways, they've got a series of functions and whatnot they support enough to generate, some pretty, I would say, maybe complex like directory structures and create the file properly for them. So anyways, this is sort of what a template file is going to look like for this. So again, what this is going to ultimately do is it's going to create our infracost.yaml file that will run our pre-commit stuff against. So if I run, you'll see right now I don't have an Infracost .yaml file. You'll also see that I don't have any usage files in my directories. This directory structure is maybe arguably a little complex, but when you get into doing anything like for real, you're probably going to have all sorts of different resources. Like you're going to have resources that are global. You're going to have some resources that are regional. You're going to want workflows to pan out. Like, for example, have your global workflows run first, your regional workflows run second, be able to kind of pick and choose. So your Terraform root module directories are going to get a little maybe complex over time. But again, I actually had some help with Ali on this template file because I'm not a super great developer myself. So, but anyways, he was able to help me kind of simplify this to fit my environment needs. So I do appreciate that. So yeah, anyways, I have no usage files, you'll see, and I have no Infracost configuration files set up yet, right? So what we're doing here is we're going to use pre-commit. Pre-commit is going to generate our config for us, and it's basically going to generate that configuration only if the Infracost file.template changes. So that makes sense, I think. Ideally, this is probably done with pre-commit Terraform. We're doing some other stuff in pre-commit Terraform, but I didn't see the ability to do anything but the breakdown command in there right now. I might make a feature request. Those guys do some good work out there, and this hook is quite nice. But anyways, we need to generate that file, and then once we have that file, we can actually use pre-commit Terraform to synchronize the usage file. So okay, so we'll run pre-commit auto update. Make sure we got the latest stuff, which we probably do. That looks good. We're going to want to stage our files here. So let's go ahead and changes. We'll stage all changes. We'll run pre-commit, run. We'll run it against everything just for the heck of it. All right, so you can see it generated a configuration file here. And it also ran the Infracost breakdown here. So let's look a little bit at what happened as a result of running that pre-commit. So now I have my Infracost.yaml file, so my configuration to tell Infracost what to do. And you can see, again, I have a sort of a maybe arguably complex root module repo, but I've got global resources, I've got sandbox environments, I've got pre-production environments, production environments, and then I've got regional resources with the same thing. So I want to understand what each of those environments are going to basically cost for me, and I want to understand that, and I want to have that kind of display in a way that makes sense to me. So that's a big deal for the way these configuration files work. And then another thing you could see is it created usage files for me too. So if we look at these, I don't have any actual resources in here yet, but the sandbox one, you can see in the global, I do have some resources. So I've got a logging sync in here, for example. So we will now uncomment some of these resource types. These are probably a little simpler to use to get going. So we'll say sandbox. I've got maybe 5. We'll go to non-production. And once you uncomment these will persist throughout sync. So don't think you've got to do this every time. Once you get like usage files where you want them, they're going to persist this data and you won't be having to kind of do this every time. So, okay, so that looks good. We'll do that. We'll do that. And we'll put maybe 15 gig in this one. So you can imagine production logging might be more than sandbox and maybe more than non-production. So, all right. Okay, so anyways, these are like the default resource types, so probably a lot easier to kind of set some generics here. I look at Infracost as a tool to really inform the developers, not be something like a super precise management of exact cloud costs. It's not what I'm looking for at this part of the development flow. Matter of fact, I don't know if I'm actually looking for it as part of the development flow ever. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But anyways, I think, again, I just want an idea of what I'm doing and how that's going to affect costs. I don't need to know the exact precise details. So, okay, so that looks good. And again, just to show you, I can rerun this pre-commit. It'll synchronize the usage files. And you'll notice all my data is persisted, so that looks good. So again, you don't have to kind of go back and do all that again every time once you have it in there. Okay, so that's great. What else we got in there? I think that's kind of like it, really. But now you can imagine maintaining these is somewhat complex when you get into some of these repos with a lot of resources and stuff like that, right? So what we can do here is just as like an example. So this is this repository basically spins up a couple Kubernetes clusters, regional Kubernetes clusters right now out in Google. So let's, and just because this is like my own kind of space and it's my own free time that I do this, I have nice little flags to delete stuff so I can save money when I'm not using it. So let's just enable this for a second. So that looks good. We'll run this pre-commit again because now that I'm enabling a Kubernetes cluster, you can imagine that my Terraform resource usage is going to change. So instead of having all these blank resources for my regional infrastructure, which is where a Kubernetes cluster lives, I am going to get my resources, right? So now I can kind of modify this to fit my needs. And again, give me some valuable data on cost change. All right, so let's go ahead and commit this. We get a nice commit title, matches our issue title, and tells you what issue it fixed. Stage all the changes. And just because I didn't stage them, I'm going to just validate this one more quick time. Anything I can solve here is where I want to solve here. I want to solve every problem, that I can here before I even make the commit. So notice we're not getting any kind of cost change data back yet. Right now, I think the best place to do that in Infracost is on the pull request. I don't really know if it's worthwhile pulling that back in here or not yet. Maybe just in the spirit of kind of shift left, it is. But I don't know. So anyways, so that's all staged. It's good. We're going to commit this. Publish the branch. I think I need to move my picture here up, and we're going to create the pull request. We'll ignore that for now. Fix it later. Good. Pull request looks good. We will go ahead and create that pull request. Awesome. We will open that up. Okay, so now that we have the pull request, we can see Infracost ran. It actually failed because one of my guardrails failed, and that's because I'm increasing price drastically. But you can see the change here. You can see that based on my changes in the usage file, the global infrastructure is going to change here a little bit. Sandbox may have been the same, that's why we're not seeing it. But anyways, the sandbox here you can see is going up $73 a month because I'm enabling a Kubernetes cluster. So we get that data here. So again, this is where the developer learns about how their pull request will impact change to cost. So pretty cool. The guardrail stuff, you can set up guardrails, which are awesome. Like to do it, I just got a simple one. Since my cost was nothing, my last pull request, it obviously went up by 25%. So that's why that guardrail went off. And these can be blocking things until you have somebody approve to allow this type of change go through. I haven't messed a ton with that yet. And I'm just sort of playing with this stuff in my open source space. So anyways, that's kind of why we're seeing that in the pull request. We also have another failure, which is interesting. So, okay, this is where tagging comes into play. So Infracost is also looking at tagging ability here and to enforce tags across your resources so you can figure out who owns what cost center, or what environment, what team, that kind of stuff. And you can also do that sort of governance here. So I have a tagging policy set up that's called default. And if we look at that policy, I require a team tag, cost center tag, and an environment tag on every resource that's being created, else it's going to fail. And again, you can also block this stuff here too, so you don't even let change come through unless these things are completed. So that's cool. I don't my open source module for Kubernetes does not have that flag set up yet, and I actually have an issue out here to force that and do additional labels to align with that. So anyways, pretty cool stuff. And there you go. So that's how you get basically cost information right in your developer space so that they can determine if the thing they're doing in the pull request is going to bankrupt them or not. So yeah, have fun with that.